Here.
Ms. Roloff,
Here.
Ms. Zattarelli.
Here.
Okay, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Sorry about that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
And
to the
Republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
And here I got something. There we go. Okay. Adequate notice of this meeting has been sent to all members of the Board of Education and to the Bergen Record in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, 1975. At this time, please make sure that your computer is set to, your computer microphone is set to mute. At this point, we'll go to the superintendent for the superintendent's report, please, Ms. Shanley.
Mr. Quinn, before you start that, I just want to inform the public. We were just informed that the agenda might not be posted online, so what I'm going to do is share my screen. First, we'll start with the October 12th tonight's meeting, and we get to items that were on for a work session. October 14th, I'll switch over to that meeting, and you'll be able to view it on the screen. And we apologize for that. It'll be up hopefully earlier tomorrow. So we just.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Crowdy. Ms. Shanley?
Good evening, everybody. So I'm not quite sure what to share for Wednesday. So I'll just go through everything tonight, and I'll repeat it Wednesday. It's not too detailed this month. We're excited about next week. We are going to be bringing back approximately 175 remote students who will join us for the hybrid model of instruction. We had about 500 fully remote students who are now, we're looking at only 325 approximately still on fully remote instruction. So we're excited. 175 students is definitely an impact to the buildings, and we will get used to that increase in enrollment and hopefully stay healthy, and then consider how we'll be moving forward. The other most of the other Bergen County districts in the area are 5 to 6 weeks behind us. Many of them have not even welcomed any of their students back into the buildings yet. They're not doing that until next week. So I feel like we're in a pretty good place since we're moving into our own phase 2. We are still very, very healthy. That is a blessing. The guidance, it's important for people to know, if we were to have any COVID positive students in the district, everybody or a faculty or staff member who tested COVID positive, the community would be notified. You would be notified by me that someone in the district, and I would identify the building, tested positive. And then if you had a child who was in direct contact with that positive person, you would receive an additional communication from us with specific directions on how that impacts your child and what actions you would need to take, either go on remote learning for 2 weeks, etc. So I share that with you because it's important for you to dispel any rumors that may be out there that students have been sent home sick and that we think they may have COVID. That's not the case. It's important to know this, that the county office and the Department of Health has been very specific with us in the past few weeks regarding sending students home. When school first started, they said we only needed to send, of course, if somebody had a fever, diarrhea, or vomiting, that's the golden rule. Any of those, they need to go home immediately. But the county initially said, the guidance initially said you needed the other symptoms such as cough, sore throat, ear pain, loss of taste. You needed 2 symptoms to go home. That's no longer the case. They want us sending students home for any one symptom that falls under a long list of symptoms. So students may be sent home more frequently. That does not mean that they're at risk for COVID. It may mean that they need to get clearance from their doctor. That clearance may not warrant a COVID test. It may just be, tell us why he has a fever, tell us why he has ear pain, or at least tell us that he or she is not, that he or she is free from communicable disease. So yes, we are sending students home. No, none of them have tested positive for COVID. And it's very important that parents have that peace of mind regarding that. Okay, so the year of all things virtual orientations we started the year with. We moved on to virtual back to school nights last week, which went pretty well, except for the tech issues we were having on Wednesday night, which necessitated some of our teachers functioning from the comforts of their home because we were having some trouble with a Google extension, and it was interfering with our connection. So, but we cleaned it up for Thursday, and it's not going to be a problem anymore. We have upcoming virtual parent-teacher conferences at the end of the month for elementary and middle school students. And we are planning our first virtual Honor Society induction on November 12th. So we hope that you can be there for that. I also wanted to remind you, the parents and the students who take their own, some students take their own attendance, the importance of taking attendance in Genesis. So what is happening is that maybe attendance is being taken, but it's not being taken early enough in the day. We really need attendance to be taken, and if your child is going to be absent, that you let us know before school starts. So the time that you would have been taking your child to school, let us know that he or she will be absent. It's difficult for us to follow up with students who we don't know what their attendance status is. If a school has 150, let's say the middle school, high school, 150 students who have not registered attendance in the morning, it's very difficult for one person to reach out to 150 parents and say,
its options with respect to any future relationship with champions in light of the need to continue to meet the needs of the community of Saddlebrook. As there is a pending criminal investigation, we really can't comment further on it. And if you do have any question meeting, please refer them to me, and I will respond if we are able to. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
that's it.
Thank you very much. Business report, please, Mr. Cuddy.
Thank you, Mr. Quinn. Sorry, I lost my connection. I don't know if my connection is good right now. Might not be.
We can hear you fine.
Okay, I only have a few items, but one of them I just want to mention tonight was we did get more funding for coronavirus related items.
Okay, so we'll go straight to board action items. B96 through B90. Does the questions or discussion?
Ray, can you share your screen?
Mr. Crotty? I think he's still having, I will just say what they are quickly. Board action item B95. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Mr. Crotty. Approval of the minutes, approval of both the district goals and board goals. Seeing none, we'll continue. And policy, we only have one item, which is approving the second reading of the policy P164.03, which is the Restart and Recover Plan for full-time instruction. Do any board members have any questions, comment, discussion on that item? Seeing none, we'll continue. Danielle, do you want to say anything about that or?
No.
Okay. Continuing on, we have nothing for negotiations tonight, and personnel will be done in closed. So then we'll move to committee reports. Does any committee member have anything to share at this point? Any liaison reports for this evening? Any correspondence? Any old business?
Actually, no.
Any new business?
Through the chair, I have a question.
Sure.
I have a question about a post on Facebook. Is that something I address here or in closed session?
Jessica?
Why don't we address it in closed, Mike? And then if it's something that you are allowed to bring up and open, you can bring it up on Wednesday.
Okay, thank you.
Any other new business? Seeing none. May we have a motion to open the meeting for public comment?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, again, please remember that in the middle, there is the middle button you can push and that'll take you to a raise hand icon for anybody that would like to speak from the public. Residents are requested to state their names, addresses, and subject matter. In the event it appears the public comment portion of the meeting may exceed 45 minutes, the presiding officer may limit each statement made by a participant to 5 minutes duration. Issues raised by members of the public may or may not be responded to by the board. All comments will be considered and a response will be forthcoming if and when appropriate. The board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Specifically, comments regarding students and employees of the board are discouraged and will not be responded to by the board. Students and employees have specific legal rights afforded by the laws of New Jersey. The board bears no responsibility, nor will it be liable for any comments made by members of the public. Members of the public should consider their comments in light of the legal rights of those affected or identified in their comments and be aware that they are legally responsible and liable for their comments.
Okay, Mr. Quinn, I again apologize to everybody. I'm having some technical issues. I guess it didn't like me sharing my screen. I'll look for anybody who has their hand up. I don't see anybody right now.
I'm not seeing any either. Is anyone seeing any hands that we're missing? Going once? Going twice?
Yes, we do have
Okay.
one. Sarah?
Hi, I'm just trying to unmute. Okay. Sarah Milnicki, 102 Claremont Avenue. I just wanted to ask a little bit about the champions thing. If you're going to offer us any information, or should I save my breath for another time? Before I start asking a bunch of questions, are you guys gonna be able to answer anything, or?
I don't know, Sarah. It depends on what you ask, honestly.
Okay. Hang on.
I mean, chances aren't good, let's be honest, but I think you should ask if you have them.
Okay, so I want to just say a couple of statements, and then and then I'll just ask my questions. I was hoping I wasn't going to be the first one to speak, so yeah. First off, I just want to remind you all, because most of you were on the board 2 years ago, that we warned you. Parents from Franklin got up and we warned you guys that this was going to happen, that it was not good. We begged you not to, and you guys also voted on it. Then I pointed out that the meeting wasn't properly advertised in the record, and you voted again just to be safe. And you guys still all, except for Mike and Sylvia, voted again to put our kids at risk for the wallet, for $50,000 that you guys were going to get, which is a drop in a bucket for the school budgets. School budgets, I know, are millions of dollars. $50,000 was what you were guaranteed to get from Champions, and I can't believe that you did this to the kids and the parents, for 50 grand. We begged you to keep it. You guys were offered solutions on how to keep it under Saddlebrook. I don't know if it was called community school or whatever, but you guys were given options and you just ignored it. The parents, we sent you information about how it was so much more expensive for the parents to pay for this. And again, it fell on deaf ears. We didn't even get an acknowledgement back from our emails. So, I'm really considering this when I'm voting. And I know not everyone's up for re-election, but it just kills me. I pulled my kids from there, and I refused to use them. I used them a handful of times. It was much more expensive, like I stated. So I found someone to bring my kids home. But on 1 o'clock days and days the school was closed and I had to work, I used them. And I just have to tell you that the care was poor. The ratio was horrible. My kid was picked on and repeatedly throughout the day. And then he was suspended because he got annoyed and pushed him. I'm not condoning my kid putting his hands on someone, but the other kid was just, nothing was done. And I just feel if it was under the old people, the ratio would have been so much better that my child wouldn't have had a chance to push anyone and stuff. And it's just very frustrating to be on this side. And again, I don't use this. I'm stepping forward for all the other kids that could have been at risk. There was ER visits at Franklin. There was an ambulance called. A girl broke her finger the other day at Franklin and they put a Band-Aid on it. They didn't brace it, splint it, anything. And even if you don't have, first aid, you call the parents, things like that. And it's just very frustrating. And I also want to point out, I believe in your mission statement, one of the first lines says something about keeping the kids safe, and you did not. And, so my question is are you going to even look into getting somebody else before the end of the year? I know in the contract it's 60 or 90 days you have to keep it, and I understand you don't want to put people that need it in a hard place. I fully understand that. But, you know, I don't understand how anyone can sit here and not be like, listen, we're looking for somebody else. This is done, you know? So that's, I guess, my main question. Are you actually going to let them finish the year? Or are you going to try to get rid of them?
Sarah, we're going to discuss that in particular during closed session. We can't talk about it in open. There are some contractual requirements that we have.
I have a copy of the contract. I have a copy of the contract.
It sounds like you do. So,
I got that.
right. So we'll talk about that in closed, and the board will go over their options for sure.
Okay. And just one last thing, you know, I'm sorry, I didn't think I was going to be going first. But we have a petition. We started a petition, some moms. We put it out there, and as of I believe 6 o'clock, I checked it. There was 530 signatures on it stating that we want champions removed. So I can send a hard copy to, you know, and I wasn't sure who to send it to or to wait till Wednesday. It's a PDF. I can email that unless we get any more signatures. But I just want to express to the board, I know you guys sit there silently no matter what's said to you all the time, and it's so frustrating, but you guys screwed up, and it is so wrong that you voted repeatedly to keep them. And I really want you guys to think about this and put the kids first. 50 grand is nothing. That's one teacher retiring. You could have saved that. You know, other options were given to you, how to keep it in-house and everything. And I just think shame on all of you. And Mrs. Shanley, I think it's really wrong that you didn't address it, that you put it on the lawyer. You know, you didn't even prepare a statement. I think it's really wrong you dumped it right on Miss Clean. And I'm not the only one that thinks that. I think I'm just gonna be the only one that's gonna say it tonight. But, you know, so thank you.
Okay, so let me just address two things real fast. It had nothing to do with Ms. Shanley. It was my request to make the statement. I am the board's legal counsel, and this is a legal issue, and it should be coming from me and not the superintendent. And then secondly, one thing that you said about the board not listening, I can tell you, I won't go into detail, but I can tell you every board member, every single one listens to what you guys say, and we discuss your input at length in closed session. I promise you that it is considered. It's not that they just sit there and listen and don't take it into consideration.
Here's a suggestion. When parents email the board, just write back, thank you for your email. Don't ignore it. Because even if you can't say anything, a simple, hey, we read it, screw you, I'm not answering, or however you want to put it. I'm sorry, that was wrong. But it's just an acknowledgement like, hi, we got your email. Thank you for your response. Just like when you email any business, you get an auto response. Thank you for your email. Customer service will answer you. They can't get in trouble if they say, we thank you for the email. Just acknowledge you read it. Because I've sent things good and bad and to board members, and I don't get any kind of response. And it is so frustrating. And I am not the only parent that feels that way. And I understand everyone's got to cover themselves and you got to watch what you say, but to just sit there and like, hey, here's this, we did this, and to not even hear a response back. Like, we've even sent positive emails like, hey, we raised money for the VFW, want to let you guys know we're running this for this, or this, you know, something good. Not even a response. Again, just a simple, thank you for your email. It's very frustrating. And then usually at the board meetings, you guys just stand there with blank faces, and I understand everyone's got to watch what they say, but no response is so maddening and so frustrating. And especially in this, like, people email and not even a thank you, or I saw it, nothing, you know.
I think that's a fair point, Sarah, and the board, and I'll make sure to talk to them about what they can and cannot respond with when you guys reach out to them.
Thank you.
Mrs. Milnicki, if I may just clarify, I have never not responded to you, so I know you're not talking to me.
No, I know you was usually very quick to answer, but like I said, we'll address the board on things. And again, positive things like, hey, the PTO is doing this, and not even like, come to our touch a truck, not even thanks, nothing. And it, you know, or I know I emailed the board and been like, please don't vote for champions. Here's the cost. Here's the cost under, was it community school, whatever the official title was, community school. Here's the cost under champions. It is a 20% difference. Nothing. I got nothing back from anybody. And it was very frustrating to like not hear from people. Someone saw me on the street and said something, but I didn't get a thank you for your email. You know, that's all I'm saying. Like, and I'm not the only one. It's not just me. So I know it's nothing personal towards me, but other parents say the same thing. You hear back from nobody. It's just very frustrating. So thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, next we have Jennifer Ween.
Hi, everybody. I just want to say I agree with a lot of what Sarah had to say. I'm very thankful that this is the last year that I have to deal with before or after care, but they haven't even acknowledged it to the parents of this community. The company has not sent one statement out, but they have had the time to send us 3 things about open houses and, oh, thanks for being a part of a Champions family. But the company has not even apologized or said one word to the members of their list, their mailing list that they have for email for our community. So obviously they don't have any remorse as a company, and I really think you should consider removing them. Thank you.
I was
Thank you.
under the impression that there was a communication that went out, and I am not aware of that.
Nothing as of right now.
Thank you.
We have Sarah Malnicki back again.
I will just say Champions also emailed the PTOs asking to speak at our PTO meetings. I didn't respond to that, but, you know, just so Mrs. Ween said that.
Wait, Sarah, they to speak about what?
About the program.
Okay.
So, I had a horrible experience, and I personally wouldn't have wanted them in, but I would have been fair to them and been like, oh, sure, you can come, you know, and I would have, you know, just being as I should as a PTO president. But they emailed looking to come speak at our next meeting. I replied we didn't have it planned yet, so just.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. When did they email you that?
I think it, I have to check. It was right before the article came out, and ironically from the person the article is about. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I can forward that to you if you'd like.
Yeah, if you, I mean, I don't know if you have my email address, but if you do, yes. If not, you can give it to Ms. Shanley.
I'll send it to her.
Okay. I definitely didn't delete it. You know, that's all. I just want to let you know. Thank you.
And if you could share the petition with me as you offered, I would
Yes.
appreciate that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have anybody else, Mr. Crotty?
Yes, I think there, if I got it right, it's Mr. Kulik.
Kulik, yes, you do.
You can address the
Can you
board
hear
now.
me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, I am just a very simple question I mean, we all know where we stand from the past and how much we welcomed them from the beginning. My question is, how many further incidences? We all know, even though you guys think we don't know, we know. How many incidences have happened in our district? Franklin, Smith, doesn't matter. Saddlebrook kids are our kids. I consider any kid on the street my kid. If I see that kid misbehaving or in trouble, I would act like I would act with my own child. So Saddlebrook kids, and I know that a lot of these moms feel the same way. So how many of our children have to get hurt, have to be in this position? How many incidences do we have? Do we have a quota to meet before we kick them out? Some are more minor, some are more dramatic. But how many incidences do we need? Is there a quota in that contract that says how many lawsuits do we need? Is there a quota for that? That's all. That's my question.
Well,
I'm
I mean,
not sure if
if
anybody
you're
can hear me.
actually asking me
Oh.
if there's a quota, obviously the answer to that is no. So there is no quota.
But it keeps happening. So when does it stop? One child is enough. These babies are our babies.
Right. As I mentioned, we're going to be discussing it. We want to hear your thoughts and your concerns and your opinions, but just remember, as I said at the very beginning, we will be discussing our options going forward once we're in closed session.
One kid is too many, and you had 2 hurt kids, 2 lawsuits last year. Too many. 1 incident is too many. Before they came, we came with a rap sheet. We cried. We would have donated blood, and I would have been checked for a kidney, not just for Miss Debbie, for everybody else. I would have, because that's how much I love my family, my Saddlebrook family. And that's how much you love your family. We're a family. 1 kid is too many. We asked for them not to, they're brought in. 1 incident happened. That was not enough. Somebody has to get shot. or somebody has to die before we change? Like, what needs to happen before they go? This discussion was supposed to be last year. Here we are again. One more. When does it end with champions? It's very simple. I'm not trying to be smart, because if I was, I would know the answer, but I must be very stupid because none of this stuff makes sense to me. One is too many. If you have children, you know that one strand off your child's hair is way too much. Way too many children got hurt. Way too many kids got picked up unauthorized. We have a recorded documents, right, Sarah? We know a couple of incidences where kids were picked up by other adults where there was nothing. Fine, who cares? Kids are getting hurt, and this is happening. This is way too much. I haven't sent my kids there since last year. I need a place. I need a school system that supports me. I need a district that supports our kids. Your job is to support us and our children. And I feel that everybody on that side is failing us as parents. That's how I feel. I cannot speak for anybody else. I love my town. I love my people. I love our children. But I feel that not enough is done over there from that end to meet us halfway, to work as a team, as a marriage, as a friendship, 50-50. Meet me, I'll meet you. Work with me, I will work with you. I'm sorry if I kept it long, but it's just, wow.
Thank you
I
for
was
sharing.
I'm done.
Do we have anyone else, Mr. Karati?
Yes, next will be Jennifer Bianchi.
Yes, hi, it's Jennifer Bianchi. Thank you. Sorry there's no video. I know I just want to echo the sentiments of the previous moms. Being a mom myself, my son had been using before and after care in Saddlebrook since kindergarten, and he is in 2nd grade, and he was just about to start at Franklin next week. So a lot of what ifs go through your mind, but I think, as the mom said before, you know, it's safety first. It always is safety first. You'll never go wrong. And that might be the nurse speaking in me, but
Thank you. Are you still with us, Jennifer, or did you finish?
We can't hear her.
Jennifer? Okay, we can go to somebody else, Mr. Karati. I know Lacey is waving furiously at us.
Well, next I had waiting was Barbara Deridorian.
Yes, hi, Barbara Deridorian, 154 Cambridge Avenue. I just wanted to back up the other moms. Just hearing about the various issues with champions. It sounds like it was a poor decision to move forward with them. Particularly, everybody was very happy with the original after-school program. So I'm just behind the moms.
Thank you.
And I think you'll see on the petition, a lot of people have written in comments. So I hopefully you'll look at that petition closely. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have Jennifer back by any chance? Or did she completely leave us?
I think Miss Fitzgerald is trying to get into.
Yes.
Yeah, she can go next.
Sorry, I couldn't figure out how to raise the hand.
That's fine. Thank you for your patience.
Okay, so Lacey Fitzgerald, 186 Colonial Ave. Basically, the same thing. Want to echo the sentiments of the other parents. Thankfully, my children don't use the before and after care. However, it was pretty obvious, you know, around the schoolyards, at drop off and pick up, and when parents are talking to each other, that this was not a change that was very welcome by most of the parents of this town, especially among those that used this program because they were comfortable, their children were comfortable with the people that were providing the service. And it seemed to be a close-knit service. This change seemed to be forced upon them, like some of the other parents have said, with the warnings of information that was, gathered from internet searches that it seems like anybody could have done. So with that being said, I think that this town is disappointed in what has happened, the events that have transpired, the communication that we have gotten. I think that we would feel a little bit more comfortable with a little bit more information being given to us. Even if it's just to say, guys, we're with you. We understand that this is a tough time. This is something that, hurts us too, being that you are responsible for the care of our children and the choices that are made in the school systems for our children. So some type of acknowledgement, conversation back and forth, I think would be greatly appreciated by the parents and by this community across the board. So my understanding, as Ms. Clean has said, is that any decisions going forward, the discussion is going to be in a closed meeting, which I think for myself, I understand that there are legal things that surround that, but I think that as a parent, this is something that I feel like there should be a little bit more transparency with. We should be given some of the options, because I think that we, especially now at this point, should be part of this conversation.
Lacey, I don't want to interrupt you, but let me just stop you really fast. The board will make time to hear from the community on the issue. We're just so early on in
Right.
figuring out what we can do. We need to have that first initial discussion and closed.
Right.
And then the board they want your input. They want to hear, what your guys' concerns are and have a conversation with you, but that'll happen after.
In a normal circumstance, I think that would be like an okay. But this was something that parents came to this board with concerns last year, or, before last year.
Mm-hmm.
It was met with obviously not the warmest of feelings from the board amongst the parents. This is something now that are serious allegations against a company that was responsible and our children were in their care. So I think that, and I mean, maybe this is just me, but I'm going to guess that there are other parents that feel the same way, that yes, sure, first conversation needs to be behind closed doors. We need more information. We need more transparency. We need more back and forth. So when are we going to know or have some of the information given to us?
So some of that is governed by what we're allowed to say because it's a criminal investigation.
Understand.
So to the extent that we can keep you updated and we're allowed to provide you more information about what we found out or what we might know, which is frankly really nothing right now. But to the extent that we know more, I promise you that we will be as transparent as we possibly can. And, I'm sure the board would consider having even, a special meeting to hear all of your concerns at some point if we find more information out, which I don't know how quickly that'll be, honestly. These things move pretty slowly.
Right. I mean, I don't think what I'm speaking to in particular isn't necessarily details on the investigation, because again, we understand it's what's going to happen with our town, with the people that need to use the before and after care. Because I'm sure now, as they were probably before, that people are nervous about sending their kids to before and after care. And especially now when people are worried about going to work to begin with, worried about their kids going to school to begin with, just COVID in general, that this is just something else that's making it, hard for us to send our kids out of the door in the morning.
So we will discuss things that we have to discuss and close tonight. And then the community will have another opportunity on Wednesday to, if we have if we have some solid information that we can share with you or a plan moving forward, I know the board would like to do that as soon as possible. So let us have the meeting tonight to discuss our options, and hopefully they can come up with, a concrete plan they can share with you for moving forward on Wednesday after they hear your input. It may require that they hear they talk tonight and consider their options, and then they hear your input on Wednesday, and then they have another close. The process is a little cumbersome, but that's the way the government works, right? So just know that I know every single board member and every administrator involved cares about what the community thinks and what your feelings are, even if they don't always agree with you. They always consider it. And I know that they will do that in this instance as well. And again, we'll try to be as transparent as we can as we move along.
Thank you, Jessica. If I could say something. So it's important to know this too, that outside of the one phone call, that I received from the prosecutor's office the evening of the arrest, I have received no formal communication whatsoever regarding this case. I sat and waited for the press release and learned about the details of the charges the way each of you did. And I sat there in shock and disgust and sick as a parent, as a mother who utilized before and after care for both of my children and understand the anxiety, the desperation that comes with knowing that you need to use a service and not being fully confident in, especially after news like this. I don't want anybody to think for 1 second that I'm not devastated by this information, because I am. And I have, it's very difficult, but you also need to understand that I work for a board of education and that Jessica Kleen is their attorney, and that we do defer to our attorney when it comes to legal matters. And we prepare a statement in concert with our attorney, and I am not allowed to communicate otherwise. And as soon as, like I said, I see the information at the same time, the same way that you do, social media, an NJ.com report, the same way. So we're not in a position to be receiving some free flow of information that we are withholding, and I don't want you to think that we are. And the board, I know, because I know my board members are as sickened by this as all of the parents, and we will discuss and we will plan for a better alternative, I promise. Do we have any other questions tonight, Ray?
Yes, we're going to get back to Jennifer Bianchi.
Hi, sorry about that. Lost my connection, but I was just listening to Ms. Shanley, and was kind of happy to hear that that there's that sentiment going around. But I just want to. I ended where I got disconnected with the safety part of it, and I wasn't at the board meeting last year, but I did get to listen to the and hear the recording several times over, and where parents spoke and about some of the legal issues with this company. And I just was curious if those parents were being heard. Was anything looked into further? Not on the Champion side, I meant on our side. Was that from a legal issue? Was that did that raise red flags? Did people say, wow, did we have to? Yes.
I don't remember I don't recall what legal issues do you know what that was?
I think there was talk about something happening with children outside of New Jersey, I believe, where there were lawsuits. I don't know specifics. I have to go back to the meeting what was actually said, but there definitely were some legal issues with the company in terms of when children were in their care.
Yes, it was people being arrested from
Okay.
Champions.
Hold on. So you have to be Ray has to let you speak. You have to be added in. It's okay. It's okay. It's easy to get a little conversational in this type of format. So Jennifer, I can tell you that Champions is licensed through the state of New Jersey's Department of Children and Families, and they are the regulatory and government agency that ensures they meet all of the requirements for operating, and that they alone can investigate a company's practices. So had somebody made a complaint or said that they heard something from a media search or something before, we could have referred our request to DCF. And in fact, I know that they are still licensed and they have never been suspended from licensure in New Jersey since we've been involved with them. So to the extent that we could do a background search on that, we did, because we know they maintain their good standing with DCF.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, next. I'm sorry.
Could I just say that in reference to incidents that may have happened, I'm aware of an incident that took place last year that was shared with me by my team when I was out on sick leave. I am not aware of any lawsuits that apparently are in place. I'm not aware of them. I'm not aware of a broken finger. I'm certainly going to do what I can to find out about this information, and I'll be requesting incident reports from champions. But I am unaware of these safety incidents that would give me great pause, and I would certainly follow up on those. So I will.
Okay, next we have, looks like a Dream Demirci. If I pronounced that right.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Adrienne Demergy. I'm at 174 Alberta Drive. I have a child in the school system. I haven't used Champions, and I am now in a position where I was about to start exploring that option. And that is no longer an option for me. I want to echo everything else that the mothers here have said today. And also just make a point that the information that we have, even though it may not be much, is enough. It's enough for our children. We get one chance at this. I'm a mother who does not have faith in the safety of this program to utilize it for my child. So, you know, there's a lot of us who feel very strongly about this. This is not, you know, typical for me to speak at something like this, but this is so important. And there's so many of us who otherwise, quite frankly, wouldn't be involved right now. And we are. And, you know, I just want to make sure that we're all echoing the same message here. And the information that we have, I work in the service industry. When I find out something like this, my company looks into it. We don't work with children. We have a responsibility here. And I'm hoping that everyone here works swiftly, quickly to come up with another option. We need to know what the timeline is, and something needs to happen quickly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Barbara Deridorian.
I'm sorry, I didn't raise my hand, but I just, obviously the biggest concern is the pedophile. But it just sounds, from what I've heard from a lot of these moms, the quality of the care, you know, again, the accidents that were not reported, it doesn't sound like they have any reporting system in place. The superintendent isn't even aware of the accidents that have occurred. And it sounds like they've released children to different parents without approvals. It just doesn't sound like quality care from what I've heard from these parents. So thank you.
Thank you. Next, Sarah Milnicki.
Again, 102 Claremont Ave. It was at the board meeting on April 10th, 2019, Ms. Clean, where a lot of parents got up to speak. I believe it starts at 1 hour, 29 minutes. At 1:34, Mr. Ortiz got up. He's a Franklin parent. He's also a police officer. He got up and had a whole bunch of information that was presented, but nobody wanted to see it. And I didn't watch the whole thing, but we caught that. I know I got up, several parents got up. I spoke to, my friend works for Hackensack Y, and I was just telling him, and he said, oh, they're horrible. You know, and then again, I know some people in other towns haven't had an issue, and thank God. And listen, I know that the board, the administration did not directly hire this person, and it's just scary. We see it going on, and other things. I get that. It's scary. Okay, and I just want to think. Okay, so at Franklin, the cost was way too much for me, and I work in a school, so I usually pick up my kids by 4, so I couldn't justify paying $5.50 a month to get my kids most of the time by 3:45. So I worked out babysitting deals, but I used them for 1 o'clock days. My boys didn't like it the first time they went. The second time they said it wasn't bad, and then the third one was election day, and that's when I said a kid called my kid fat repeatedly all day. My son finally shoved him. Again, I'm not condoning the shoving, but then my child got suspended until I was ready to meet with them, and then they wouldn't meet with me when it was okay. They wouldn't give me an incident report. They sent me a text, "Hey, Sarah." I'm like, I don't know this woman, and she's like calling, acting like we're friends. I will also tell you, my friend had to pick up our third friend's daughter one day. She walked into the gym doors at Franklin, saw the little girl, said, "Come on, little girl, we're going." Grabbed her stuff, walked out. Nobody stopped her. My friend didn't sign her out, nothing. I walked in and grabbed my own kids. Now, yes, I know they're my own kids, but I walked in and nobody asked who I was. I just said, "Hi, I'm here for those, here for Ryan and Brendan." They're like, "Okay," walked out. Again, the first time I didn't know I was supposed to sign. The second time I signed. Then we had an issue where we do a pumpkin patch at Franklin, and we always include the aftercare kids. Normally the aftercare kids would be walked out a few kids at a time, and they would they'd get their pumpkin, and then they'd go back in. Champion showed up with 10 kids, let them loose. My dog has this, I'm sorry. Sorry. There she is. Well, my husband's coming. So they brought all 10 kids out. They didn't watch them in any capacity, and they were just running around. They were stealing pumpkins. They were not keeping a good eye on the children. Again, nobody got hurt, but it was just they weren't watching them and stuff. And then Mrs. McCurlick is talking about there were some incidences. There was one child got pushed by another child. He got essentially a boxer's cut, and a 6th grader was taking care of him when she arrived, not the staff. Then the 6th grader was holding the brown paper towels on the kid. There was no first aid kit. Blood everywhere, really gross. Kids were getting sick. It was very, very bad. That was the other one. Then the broken finger I just heard about, it happened just last week. And with my own son, I asked them for incident reports, like I said, and it was like the poorest incident report ever. It wasn't detailed. And then they put that they interviewed a 1st grader, but they never interviewed my kid. And yeah, I wasn't bringing him back there. I was just appalled at, like, I work at a school. I know how incident reports should go, and it was just very poor and stuff. But we spoke a lot. We brought these all up to you. We brought it up to the board, and you guys still voted on it twice, because the first time you voted on it a second time just to be sure because of the lack of notification. So it was brought up, and it is on the video. I was hoping some of the other parents would come, but it was brought up repeatedly and stuff. So that's all. I just wanted to chime in with that. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Merkulik?
I'm here. I just want to make sure, I don't think I got my answer. How many more children, how many more other incidences, and how serious? I hear you, all of you are heartbroken, but how much longer do we go? I have been without childcare since last year. And yes, my child did receive 13 stitches because they were unprepared. They were understaffed. We're not going to go there. That's over. I can't even think about that day, and I don't wish it on worst enemy. However, when does it end? When do you take responsibility? You brought them on. Take the responsibility. When? Is it over so we can start our lives? For my kids to go out, not mine. All of our children and all of these parents relax, because we are just leaving them with people that we trust. These people are not to be trusted, not even for a freaking Band-Aid. So that I know from a fact. Again, I'm not going to get into it. It's past, I'm going forward. How many more children do we need to have hurt? How many more? That's all I want to know, because I don't think I got my answer. How serious? I hear you're all serious. When does it end is my only question. When do we stop? I am not just furious. I'm not speaking emotionally. I'm not emotional. We are emotional. We all have pills for that. This is not appalling. This is disgusting. This is disgusting. How many kids are hurt? How many parents are frustrated? Yeah, you will hear us in the next meeting, in a meeting after that. And how serious are you taking this? Imagine your child. All your kids are probably grown up, moved out, college, driving bikes. My kids are still learning how to, all this is 3rd grade, needs care. I have no care. I had to leave my job. My husband had to take a day off. I had to alternate. And the kid that did this to my son was still using the aftercare. Where's the fairness in any of this? When does it end? I need it to end, not just me. All these moms that are on the call, and I don't know where the rest of the moms. It doesn't matter. Legal guardians, when does it end? Can I just have an answer? I don't care what you're going to speak behind closed. I don't care. It has nothing to do with me. Your lawyers have nothing to do with me. What does it take for you to stop them? Stop them, fire them. Because if I did something wrong in my job, I would get fired. Any of you go to work, you get fired. We all get fired. When do they get fired? You get a roofing company from your house. You don't like what they're doing. You fired them. You get another roofing company.
Oh, okay. Let me just stop you. As I said before, we're going to talk about it tonight. The board can't make decisions outside of a board meeting. So the whole board has not had an opportunity to discuss all of this until tonight. So we're going to discuss it, and they will give you more information at the next meeting on Wednesday.
Okay, that's all I need. Is just how much longer and when does it end? And what does it take to end? That's all.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Lacey Fitzgerald.
Hi, sorry, me again. So just real quick, I just want to clarify, you just said again, and you said before, that the Board of Education can't make any decisions outside of a board meeting. So here we had a company who the director in our town was arrested on egregious charges. Why wasn't an emergency Board of Education meeting called? Is that something that can happen? I feel like this would be a situation that would call for that. So the board hasn't discussed anything. It's been over a week that we've had this information and nothing has been discussed. Just like, would there have been a better way to go about that?
So it is possible to call an emergency board meeting. It's not clear whether or not this would meet that requirement because the person doesn't work in Saddlebrook any longer, and the person, we don't even have any information that, you know, let me back up for a second. We found out Thursday night the 1st, right? So there's no way we would have had enough time to have a meeting before before last week. So Monday through Friday of last week, possibly we could have met. But we didn't have any information about, at that time, and we still have very little, about what had actually happened if Champions had met their contractual requirements with the district, for example. Remember, we're in a contract with them. We can't just, as you said, somebody said, if I do something wrong in my job, I get fired. We can't do that. The Board of Education is a government entity that contracted with another company. We can't just terminate the contract without what's called cause. But we didn't have enough information to even have a meeting to know if there was cause. So just so you know, since that Thursday, October 1st, we have been doing nothing, not nothing, but we have been doing a lot of investigating. We have been asking for information so that we could be prepared when we met tonight for a decision for you all. We couldn't do that until we had all this information from them, and we just got most of it today. So there was literally no other time for us to have had a conversation where we could have said, is it even possible for us to get out of this contract? Okay. I know that all of you, I know it's terrible. I have a young child. I get it. I know it's horrible, but I'm telling you from a legal perspective, just because he was arrested is not enough for us to get out of the contract. And I know that's not what you want to hear. And I know that sounds terrible, but it's true. But so I needed more information before we could have this meeting, and I didn't get that until today.
So then what recourse do the parents have? I mean, what are they left to do at this point? I mean, obviously, so you just said that you have a young child. Mm-hmm. I mean, again, my kids aren't in this, but just like Jasmina had said, you know, the person next to me, their kid is my kid. Saddlebrook, small community. Most of us, or a lot of us, have grown up in Saddlebrook. We know each other. We know each other's kids. We know each other's families. So, I mean, maybe I'm assuming that there's another parent that's sitting there thinking, so then what recourse do I have because I don't feel safe?
We know that, and we are prepared. The administration is prepared. We have a plan, a contingency plan, in order to meet the needs of the community that we are going to talk about tonight. I promise you. We just let us get into close so that we can have this conversation. Okay. And then if they come up with a plan And if they can come back into open and approve the plan, they will tonight, if that's possible. I don't know if it is yet though, because remember, I know it makes it, I know to the outside world, it seems like we have all this time and we must have, you know, days and days where we have just been sitting on this and we could have taken action. That's not really the truth. We only got told he was arrested, and then we didn't get very much information about that. And then we needed to know how we could legally handle this, but we needed documentation in order to do that. And then we needed a backup for you guys. We couldn't just come here and say, we're terminating them. See, you know, tell your job, see you later, because you're going to be home with your kids. We know we can't do that. So we're trying to address this legally and practically for all of you, so that we have something in place, so that you have a place to take your kids that you feel safe with.
Shouldn't that have been an email out to the parents at some point?
What would that email have said?
Exactly what you just said.
We're working on it.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard from other parents before that, you know, the communication, I feel, and other parents I think agree, is lacking. I feel like, you know, there's that exactly what you just said might not have been a pretty statement. It might not have been, you know, a very, you know, professional, well put, but it's something that is at least something that we can say, we don't like it, but okay, we've got some type of information. We have some type of, you know, understanding as to what's going on. And I think that would be, you know, appreciated. The real world discussion of what's going on.
Okay, I think that's a fair point, and I think everybody hears that and they appreciate your input on that. And there's always, nobody's perfect. There's always room for improvement. And I know that the board and administration was very blindsided by all of this, obviously. So thank you for your input, and we will keep that in mind as we move forward. And if we have information, we will certainly make sure that you get more up to date, even if there's really no solid plan, even if there's just this is what we're looking at doing. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Kim. I don't have a last name. It just says Kim. Is there a Kim here?
Hi, Kim Scanapiecco, 792 Saddle River Road. My children are grown. They're out of the school system. But I do have a granddaughter that's starting to enter the district's educational system. And this incident is beyond terrifying. It's actually sickening. I served on the board, so I understand what it's like sitting in that seat. And I just want to make a comment to the board members that voted yes for this. You are elected by us. When parents come and speak, you have to listen to them. You're their voice. You're the ones who bring action to the district. This company was providing the service. This wasn't even staffing or things that were outside of your control. This was a service to the parents. And when the parents that have to use this service come to you with these kinds of concerns and the fact that they don't want the change, listen to them. You run on these notions that you're here for the children. This was not a decision made for the best interest of the children. So shame on all of you who have voted for this. And then I also wanted to make a comment. I believe the superintendent put out a letter saying that, you know, it was not a Saddlebrook student that was involved. And while that may be true in the initial investigation, where there's smoke, there's fire. And when you're dealing with these pedophiles, it's not just one child. And I really hope and pray that none of our district children suffered at the hands of this disgusting pig that you people elected to put into place in our district. Thank you.
Okay, next is Tara Carrasco.
Hi, my name is Tara Carrasco, 180 South Street. I remember back when this all started and hiring the champions and the meeting we had, and my husband spoke at the meeting and all. We were thinking of putting my son in, but I want to thank you guys for actually going through with the champions program, because that is the exact reason why we decided that we were not going to be putting him in after we went for like a short meet and greet with them, and we saw how the lack of ratio, I should say the 15 to 1, that whole thing, how that was not being implemented the way it should have been with the way the old program ran, with much more eyes on the kids, and things could have been avoided. But like I said, we did not put our son in the program because of that. But I guess going forward, we had to make a lot of arrangements to have care for him, which we did. Going forward, if we ever needed the care, and assuming going forward that Champions will not be there, I'm just going to go on a positive side on this. What is the hiring process going to be like? Are you guys going to have any say in the hiring that they do? Because I believe that in the past, it was kind of said that there was going to be some say in it. And I don't know that 100%. I'd have to go back into the meeting and stuff like that. But going forward, is there anything in the contract that anybody from the board has a say in a new company coming in, or who's going to get hired and stuff like that? So I'm just curious if there's any feedback on that.
Jessica, do you want to?
Yeah, I do. So you're not gonna like my answer. My answer is that again, like I said, in order for us to determine where we stand legally with our contract with them, I need to have a discussion with the board, and what you've asked may or may not be a material part of that discussion. So I don't want to discuss that yet in public until we've made a decision, until the board is able to hear about the contractual terms that Champions may or may not have been required to have complied with, and whether or not we believe they did not. I get that's kind of a crappy lawyer answer, but that's the best I can give you for right now. But I promise you, as soon as we discuss, I can give you a more concrete response.
Okay, again, I know you've heard it all night, but it's almost like I told you so. We all kind of went out there and, spent lots of time voicing our opinions. And again, like the other parents have said, and it just feels like sometimes when we do it, we're not heard, and other ideas in your heads thinking that it's the best way. And sometimes it's a business thing. Sometimes it's not always thought of, I think. And I think that needs to be obviously moving forward. I hope anybody else on the board, remaining on the board, really does. Because I know one of the board members had asked one of the students that worked for the old program and almost put him on blast. Like, what do you do? How could you ask a 17-year-old that's telling you he goes to kids' games, he's, in the Saddlebrook community, and just made him almost feel like awkward there. But we were here to fight for the children. He's there saying I'm at their games. It's a family. Saddlebrook's a family. And tried to make him I don't know. I just wish they would just listen a little bit more and be open to what the parents are saying, because not everybody's there to attack. We're there to just try to help and find a solution that works for the town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Celestine Gravaro.
Hi, how are you? Hopefully you can hear me. I just wanted to make a couple of points. I want to start by saying, I think I have to give my address. We're at 311 Adriana Street. And I want to start by saying that my son, who's in second grade, was in the care of this person. And he's in second grade. He was one of very few children that were there. I want to say that I believe that this has been handled very poorly by the school and by the district. I believe that there was some legal direction given, and the school has failed really to care for the safety and the emotional care of our children. Everything that was requested, such as speaking to guidance counselors and the school psychologist, was absolutely shut down, mostly because everyone is afraid of the legality. No one has taken the time to really figure out whether or not this actually was something that our children were not involved in. It's very easy for you to send an email and say that this didn't affect the Saddlebrook families, but there's not a single person in that room that knows that for a fact. And the truth of the matter is that we won't find out unless the parents do their own research. You have put our children in a situation where they were unsafe. And although this was a third party that was chosen to care for our children, they're still our children, and they go to your district, and you guys failed to really do anything to address the concerns. The communication has been poor at best. One email to notify the parents is completely unacceptable. Again, it's been said by other parents, but even if it's not the perfectly worded thing, there needs to be some communication to let parents know that something is being done. And I think time is of the essence here, because while the school is pushing to have students come back and not be virtual anymore, there's no option for parents to send their children somewhere where they feel like their children are going to be safe. And this is a working class town, and a lot of families work. And for us to have our children in school requires that those children have reliable before and after care. And we've been forced into a situation where we've had to find other options for our children because this situation occurred. And I just think that it's just important that you understand how limited the time is that we have as families in your school district, and how important it is that our children are cared for and that some of the questions are answered. And even if you can't answer the legal questions about what happened, it would maybe be wise that someone would, maybe come up with some kind of program for the children to really be able to talk to the children about being safe around strangers, or, these are people that our children trusted. These are people that we dropped our children off in the morning with and left them there to be cared for. And, here we are with this situation, and just to say that we don't have any information is just not enough, and it's not fair to the parents, and it's not fair to the children.
If I may, so we do educate children on the kinds of safety that you're talking about as part of our regular health curriculum, with both the nurse and or the general education teacher and or the health and physical education teacher. We do have those regular conversations with the children. And as far as counselors being available for students, counselors are always available for our students. What counselors can't do is investigate. They can't have a conversation with a student and say, did this person do anything to you? So we have to be very careful that our counselors are there to support our students, to check in with them, to make sure that they're okay, but that we are not part of conducting any sort of investigation. And that's just a careful thing. It's a careful line.
And I totally understand that. And that same exact verbatim was given to me by the principal. Clearly that direction was probably given by Ms. Clean. I totally understand that. But what I'm saying is I specifically asked to set up an appointment with my son just to check in and make sure everything was okay. I'm not asking for an investigation to be done, but I think there's like 6 students who go there. It's really not it's not unrealistic to say that maybe those 6 students that go there could sit with the guidance counselor and just check in. There's sometimes that parents we're trying to not do more harm by asking all these questions, but we also want to make sure that there's nothing wrong with just checking in with the children. Like, that was completely shut down at all.
I'm sorry if that's the impression that you got. That was not the impression that I got, because I did speak with the team over there, and it was told to me that in addition to that, Champions was reaching out to all of the families who were currently using the program at Franklin School. So I'm not sure if you received a communication from them at all. I was told that all of the parents were contacted.
Well, I was contacted by them. I think for me, my son spends the most time
at the school, right?
School, and there are services that are available, and we've been provided zero support. So that's my point. I'm not going to argue with you about it anymore.
No, I'm certainly not arguing. I will make sure that I speak with the team over there and make sure that they do check in with your son. I was under the impression that that is what was happening.
It absolutely did not take place. And so to close, I think the really time being imperative here, so that a plan is in place for families that need care, and that the well-being of our children is also checked in by the school.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Jessica Corinne.
Hi, Jessica, 36 Nedlick Drive. I'm just want to speak a little bit, not taking away from the Franklin school situation, but I'd like to just talk maybe a little bit about the aftercare programs at the other two schools as well. I just want to make sure that when you guys go into closed session that we're talking about all the other people that are caring for the students as well too, because I'm not quite sure who this person has hung around with, in contact with, and in certain situations, it's not always just one person. And
Jess, you muted yourself.
I'm very sorry about that. I'm not the greatest on Zoom. I just want to just clarify that I know that it was a Franklin situation. The person worked directly at Franklin, but sometimes when a person works in an environment, they make friends with people, and we want to make sure that all the people in Champions are getting checked. You guys are talking about everybody in the situation where, yes, are the same thing like the person just who spoke before me. Is there a protocol to have all the students talk to? Can we have the guidance counselor speak to every child to make sure that all the Champions people are doing the right thing? Like, did nothing happen with any other students, with any other employees? Because this is something that should be addressed on all aspects with all the schools in the town, because this company just doesn't seem to be trusted on any aspect. And one bad apple can be 10 bad apples in my perspective. And that's how I'm leaving it. Thank you very much.
Jessica, could you address that?
Well, I mean, sure. First, I need to clarify that our counselors and guidance counselors and, psychologists and teachers, frankly, are always available to hear students. And if you want your child to speak to a counselor, I encourage you to make an appointment for that to happen. And I know for sure that will happen.
Champions. I'm the PTO president at Smith, and I'm speaking on behalf of the parents that send their children to Smith School Champions. So I'm speaking up for those parents that are sitting there saying, well, if Franklin had a bad apple, how do I know that Smith School didn't have a bad apple? And you know what? They have the right to feel that way too. And I just hope to say that, and the person who spoke before me is right. There was no protocol to say, well, how do I know my child didn't have has something go on? And nobody reached out prior to that one email, and nobody reached out to the students or the parents to say, is there somebody counseling? Is there somebody doing anything further for our students? And I do believe that one bad apple, there's always more. And like I said, that's where I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay, so again, I'll just reiterate that if anybody you know, if you have a child who you want to have speak to a counselor, please just let that counselor know, let your principal know, reach out to Ms. Shanley, reach out to the principal of your building, reach out to Dr. Reisenauer, who is the director of special services, and I promise you that they will meet with your child. The one thing that we will not do is interview them. That's not our role. We can't do that. So we will not be asking the question, did your aftercare worker, I don't even want to say it out loud, did your aftercare worker act in an inappropriate way? We won't be asking those kinds of questions, but what I will do tomorrow morning, first thing, in fact, I'll do it tonight, I will send the prosecutor an email and I will tell him that the community is concerned, not just in Franklin, but in other buildings. And I will ask him if there is any avenue for the parents to speak to the prosecutor. I know they have victims unit divisions where they have counselors at the special victims unit. So maybe there's somebody there, if you feel like you want your child to speak to them, that you can speak to. And I will make sure that whatever information he gives me, it is disseminated to all of you. I do know that there is a number that they've already posted. I think we referred to that in the statement that was sent out last week, but I'll find out if there's any additional resources for you.
Great. Thank you. Next, we have, the next one is, name is under today is the day.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I know everybody's talked about everything else.
Please
but-
identify yourself and state your address.
It's Janet Doherty, 264 3rd Street. Now, my granddaughter goes to the program. This is why I didn't want to raise my hand. But my thing is, I hear what everybody is saying. But now, what you have to understand is the aftermath. She's worried he's going to come to our house. She's an emotional mess. She thinks that she can't trust any adults now, which is awful. Because now she says, well, I can't trust them. What if they're bad like him? Is he still in jail? Is he out? Now, I know for a fact he's out because I Googled it. And I found that he was released on October 9th. So I know he's out and about. But I have to sit down and tell her, oh, if you see him anywhere around here, because he was the site director, he had my address. He has all of our addresses who were there. Now, I've spoken several times to the prosecutor's office, and I got information saying that, oh, she probably wasn't at risk. But what's to say that there's not more to it? That's my fear. And I know you can call and you can talk to Detective Melissa Cohen, is who is handling this now from the prosecutor's office. But I want you to know that it's not just what happens there and what happened with this. Because now this is going on. There's so much more going on in her head now. And the fear. And did I do something wrong? Because I had to sit down and talk to her. I had somebody else have to sit down and talk to her. It's awful. And every day, I still have to use them because I have to go to work. I look at the people there like, you know, can I actually trust you? And in the same respect, it makes me so nervous dropping her there, but I know I can't lose my job. On the other hand, it's a terrible spot to be put in, to have to drop her off there every day, knowing what took place. And like the other mom just said, you don't know who he was friends with. He was relatively local. Fairlawn is not far from Saddlebrook. There's a lot of things that are mixed in. The pool, it's an interlocal thing. So our kids go to that pool, there's Fairlawn people there. And Miss Shanley, I'd never received a call from Champions. I know I spoke to you, and she never called me. And when I went to pick her up, she told me, oh, I was busy. So I've never, like, I spoke to her there because I made her speak to me there. But other than that, she never spoke to me or tried calling me back.
Okay. So she called you and missed you?
It was like a phone tag.
Like a phone
but then
tag.
I left her another message and I didn't hear from her. And then when I went to pick her up, then she said, oh, I saw your message, but I wasn't here. I was somewhere else. But like, that didn't really mean much to me.
I'm very sorry.
But I wanted you to understand the flip side of,
Well, I do.
know what everybody is saying there, but what they don't realize is the kids that were actually in that school I mean, I dropped her off. I handed her to this guy every day. And now she thinks she did something wrong. And everything else she's feeling is awful. So that's what, you know, you need to understand that there's a lot more to it. And I can only speak for her as to how she's feeling. But what about the rest of the kids that were also being dropped off to this guy?
I hear you.
And
That's it.
has she spoken with the counselor? Can we offer any of those types of services for her?
I've already had her. She's spoken to 2 different people already.
All right, good. Okay, well, I'll follow up with the counselors over there.
Okay, she's spoken to her too. All right.
It won't hurt to follow up.
Okay.
And you know where to find me.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. That's it. Thanks.
Take good care. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Ms. Zottarelli, I guess, wants to speak.
Yes, I do. The first part of my statement, I just want everyone to know I'm speaking as a resident, not as a board member. I know, Jess, you hate when I do that, but I'm sorry. Okay, Sarah, I was advised not to sign that petition. I wanted to, and I want everyone to know that I stood by you then, and I'm standing by you guys now. I will continue to fight. That's it. Thank you.
I don't see any more hands raised at this moment, Mr. Quinn.
Okay, thank you. Let's just give somebody a couple more seconds, just in case anybody's still trying to figure out how to raise a hand.
Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to raise a hand. I've been doing it for the past hour.
Okay, Miss Lazara.
Yes, this is Miss Lazara. I live on 234 Hillside. My only question is how come the board didn't didn't go into closed session prior to the public comments like you guys have done in the past? I mean, the last couple of meetings, we were put into a room to wait for over an hour. And how come this situation didn't call for urgency for a closed session prior to assure the parents and give us some more information that just nods and that's it? Yes?
I mean,
any reason why?
It was considered, I can tell you that much. And it was thought that it would be better for you guys to voice your opinions first so that we could hear all of your input before we went into closed.
Okay, thank you.
Steve, through the chair, was there a statement put out from either the board president on the website or an email?
No, the statements were handled by the superintendent and the lawyer.
Oh, because the superintendent said she was waiting on the board.
I
She get, no. You answered to the board, so you didn't really.
Well, I made the one statement that Jessica and I discussed that we needed to make, and until I had other information, which I don't have anything else to share at this time, I didn't want to I understand parents were looking for maybe some sort of statement that would express, we're working on it, we don't want you to think that we're sleeping over here. I didn't make a statement that didn't have any information in it, but now I realize that they might have appreciated that. That's the only reason I didn't, because I didn't have any other information to share.
Okay, thank you.
And to answer your question, Mike.
Yeah.
And I'll talk to the parents as well. Every board member is a parent. Many of us probably have used before and after care. We are definitely very upset. We are very concerned. And I'm sure most of them, like me, are feeling a lot of emotions that would require language I can't use during the meeting to fully get across. However, we were also incredibly frustrated and, shall we say, penned in due to the fact that it is a legal matter and we are not allowed to discuss this as per our lawyer. So no, I didn't send anything out because I really can't send anything out. And of everybody involved, I have less information than anyone else. So hopefully tonight, maybe we can put something out, but right now I am in the same position of everyone else and not really being able to speak.
Okay. Thank you.
Steve, can I make a comment? Is that?
Yeah, but we really should have this discussion while we're not open to the public. That's one of the things we kind of have to get better at. Our discussions happen when we're not open to the public comment.
Vin, you can
1 minute.
say it in open just after we close to the public.
Correct.
Say that again?
Like close to the comments from the public, and then you can say it.
Okay.
Yeah, we have 2 more members with their hands up right now from the public. Adrian Buds.
You're muted, Adrian.
No, I just think your volume's low.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I just have a question. I'm Adrian Buds and I live at 18 Jamrose, and I just have a comment. My son doesn't use the before or the aftercare, but he did use the rec camp, and it was so awesome because there was always familiar faces, and it was always the people that cared about them and loved them. And I was just wondering, is there a chance that it can ever go back to that? I mean, I know myself and I'm from Saddlebrook. My parents are from Saddlebrook. My sister, everybody, we all used that camp, the before, the aftercare. Is there any way that it can go back to how it was? Because everyone was safe, and it was like when you walked in that door in the morning and dropped off those kids, you knew it was somebody's kid that, it was a friend of mine's child that worked there. So I guess that's my question is it was safe and we all felt safe, and can it ever go back to that again?
I mean, I think that's serious. That'll be something that they have to discuss and close. I don't think it's not an option. I just don't know if it will be the option chosen,
Mm-hmm. I mean, and the cost was a lot better. I mean, I sent my son for the whole summer, and all of his friends went, and I'm sure that enrollment was a lot higher than it was. I mean, there was no summer camp this year, but I'm just saying, it just seems that if we should keep it close to home, because obviously it's not working this way. That's just my comment, and that's all.
Thank you.
Okay, next is Joy McClary.
Hi, I am Joy McClary for 22 Sylvan. I just have a question. Did this person have access to students not in Champions, like during regular school hours?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. So there was no chance that he would have been in the school or interacting with.
I can't guarantee that, somebody didn't walk through a hallway to the main office for some reason. I mean, walkie-talkie, I have no, you know what I'm saying? But there's usually when the camp is over, be it the morning or the afternoon, the employees leave, and they usually leave through the exit where the service is provided.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Next we have Kristen.
Hi, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, Kristen Stam, 15 Chelsea Drive, and I concur with Adrian. And my son was hurt at Champions, so I know the current situation. Not related to that, but my daughter went through the previous program for 6 years and felt very comfortable. We felt comfortable, got her off. But 2 months into the new program, with less supervision, more costs, my son was hurt on equipment that he wasn't supposed to be on per the Champions rules. So I just wanted to voice that because I agree with Adrian, and I joined this meeting late, so I apologize, but I probably agree with a lot of the other concerns, and I just wanted to voice that.
Thank you, Kristen. Could I ask you could you please state your last name?
Kristen Stan, S-T-A, 2 M's as in Mary.
Okay. And which school are your children at?
Smith.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do we have anyone else at this point, Mr. Karati?
I do not see any more hands raised.
Okay. So then we have a motion to close the meeting for public comment.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we are now closed for public comment. Vinny, I know you would like to say something, so you have the floor.
Yeah, just real quick to let people know, because obviously something like this case is something that's in my wheelhouse, and I would have a lot to say, but you learn when you're on the board that there's certain things that Jessica's going to attest to that we just cannot say. I think a lot of us would love to speak on this topic, but right now it's inappropriate. But I'm relatively confident that the board will address everybody's concerns. I'd just like to thank everybody for speaking tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. So then we will move on. Now, let me just ask, because of the situation we're in tonight, typically don't, but I'll just go and ask, does any other board member want to comment before we go into closed?
Steve, through the chair, I would, not on this subject either. It's regarding something Mrs. Milnicki said earlier. Last month, the policy was put into place that we are not allowed to respond to emails that we get separately. And as far as we were told, it was going to be up to the president to respond to all the emails that we got. So I don't know if you are or not, and I'm not trying to say you're not. I'm just letting her know why she doesn't get answers, at least from me.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for bringing that up. I forgotten about that. Yes, I do try and answer all of the emails. I will say, and I will stop doing this, but there are times when it's truly addressed to an administrator concerning, you know, whether it's a issue at this school or that school, it's addressed to the principal, and then all of us are just added on to it. I allow that administrator to deal with the situation. I try to answer all of the emails. If I missed you and didn't, I apologize. I guess I'll work harder at making sure none of them slip through the cracks. On that note, anybody else? Okay. Now need a motion to recess to close executive session to discuss personnel matters per NJSA 10-4-6, Open Public Meetings Act. The subject matter discussed may be disclosed to the public if and when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Action may be taken, may or may not be taken when the board reconvenes in open session.
So it'll be, just so you, for clarification, personnel matters and matters covered by attorney-client privilege is what the action will be.
Motion.
Second. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So we're moving to closed session. Ray, I assume you're going to leave this portal open for the public, and we will be sent a link to the closed session, correct?
It was
Yes,
emailed to you, yes. I can
No.
send it again.
And for the public that wishes to stand this meeting, I'm going to turn over to our IT person, Mr. Marr, and he'll put you in the waiting room and he'll give you updates on when the board were looking to be back into open session.
Can we have like 5 minutes before we have to log in?
Yes, it's 8:47. Let's try and be there by 8:55.
Hold on one second. Okay, we're recording.
All right, we're all set?
Yes.
May I have a motion to go into open meeting again?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Ms. Shanley, the floor is yours.
Thank you. As you can imagine, there's a lot of moving parts in this issue with Champion and aftercare. And some of those parts include providing care for parents that they so desperately need when they're working, and at the same time keeping our students safe and happy and healthy. So we've discussed a lot tonight, and I thank you, those of you who are still sitting here this late. So although we haven't made too many decisions, we have decided at the very least this. First, we are going to be terminating our contract with Champions as soon as legally possible. That's number one. Number two, we're going to be working towards filling some sort of site supervisory position in the interim with our own staff, so that even though Champions may be running for a period of time until we get those legal kinks worked out, we will have somebody from Saddlebrook Board of Education employed supervising these sites and with our own personnel. And those are two things that we could commit to at this very moment. I will be posting for those supervisory positions tomorrow morning. I'll be having a conversation with our SBEA president, Matt Martinez, hopefully at some time tomorrow, so that I can talk to him a little bit about what we're hoping to do. And then Jessica and I and Ray will be moving forward with the county, state conversations and things that we need to have to help us iron out both a short and long-term plan. And that long-term plan will definitely include parents in the community. So a conversation committee with parents in the community. So that is those are the for certains this evening, and I hope that it brings people some temporary peace. And as things unfold and we have more to share with you, we will definitely do that.
Thank you.
Okay, and I thank you all for your patience and your
time. Thank you very much. Thank you all for your patience and hanging in there waiting for us. At this point, I'd like to remind you all that our next meeting is Wednesday, October 14th. And at this time, I would make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion.
Michelle?
Okay.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Thank you all for attending the meeting, and we'll see you on Wednesday.
Good night.